about 350 to 400 miles an hour before we deploy those chutes.
And we did hear a call out of 200 kilometers. That is basically telling us that the Dragon capsule is getting closer and closer to Earth. Again, they went all the way out to orbit at about 575 kilometers from Earth. I think the furthest they went was 590 kilometers. But now they're on their way back home, so they're approximately 200 kilometers at this moment. And again, today we are bringing the crew back home. We've begun several operations during this deorbit sequence, but actually deorbit and return home began yesterday. We did have a couple phase burns yesterday that brought the vehicle down to approximately 365 kilometers, and now we're getting closer and closer to bringing the crew back home. It's getting really exciting over here. Can't wait to see them back on Earth after their trip to orbit.
Yeah, so Jesse mentioned yesterday we started some downhill phasing burns. There were 2 of them to lower the altitude. Earlier today we saw, we didn't see, but we got confirmation of the trunk jettison. We completed our deorbit burn successfully, and right now Dragon is going through its re-entry phase and through its blackout communications portion. And shortly here we're going to have splashdown after our parachutes deploy. And, you know, I can't believe this mission has come and gone so quickly. The crew has been, again, super busy, and I do want to remind all of our viewers that this Inspiration4 mission, this Inspiration4 crew, it's all for a great cause. We want to make sure that we further human space exploration. We want to do a ton of science, and we want to fundraise for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. The goal is $200 million. Jared Isaacman donated $100 million himself, and we're a little over halfway through the other $100 million that we want to fundraise. So if you're watching on YouTube, if you have a computer nearby, you can go to inspiration4.com/donate and support the cause there. There's also a bunch of different things like auctions.
Dragon, SpaceX, please verify crew entry preparations complete with tablets, restraints, visors, and feet.
And copy that, SpaceX. We were just waiting a little bit longer, but we'll do it right now. SpaceX Dragon, tablets are secure, restraints are tightened, visors are down. We are ready to come home.
We copy all, Dragon. Approximately 4 minutes, 30 seconds until comm blackout. We'll see you on the other side at 2300.
Talk to you at 2300.
Just under 5 minutes away from that blackout period. So what you're seeing on your screen is the core, the crew operations and resources engineer communicating with the crew on board Dragon, preparing for re-entry back into the Earth's atmosphere. So they're closing their visors and making sure that their 5-point harnesses are secure, basically doing all their preparations for that re-entry. And again, if you're just now joining us, you are tuned into the Inspiration4 mission. This is the first all-civilian crew out to orbit, and now they've been out there for about 3 days and now making their way back. And the crew on board is Jared Isaacman, who's the commander for the mission. He is the 38-year-old CEO of Shift4 Payments. He has been a fighter pilot for many, many years. He's flown in over 100 air shows, and always does a fundraiser or a charity event with every one of his air shows, and he's doing the same thing with this mission, which is pretty incredible.
Up next, we have Haley Arsenau. She's 29 years old, and she is actually the youngest American to fly in space ever. She's also the first.
Slowing away from its teeters by his attitude.
Continuing to get great calls. Haley is also the first in space with a prosthetic. She is a pediatric cancer survivor and also a physician assistant at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, the same place that saved her life when she was 10 years old.
Got Dr. Cyan Proctor on board, making her way back home with the crew. She is the 51-year-old mission pilot for this mission. She's from Tempe, Arizona, and she holds the seat of prosperity. She actually was awarded this seat for... we got a 2-minute call out for that expected blackout period. But Dr. Cyan Proctor actually was awarded the seat for starting her own, basically, business for her artwork and her poetry. But she's also an incredible human being. She's an analog astronaut. She's always wanted to go to space. Almost became a NASA astronaut at one point.
To initial entry, attitude complete.
And now she's on the crew and was able to accomplish her dream.
And last but certainly not least is Chris Tombroski. He's 42. He's a data engineer at Lockheed Martin and a United States Air Force veteran, a space enthusiast through and through. And you know, I was watching the docuseries, and he's just a husband and father first and foremost. And so those were our 4 crew members that are currently making their way back home, back down to Earth, and as part of the Inspiration4 mission.
I'm so excited to see them come back home, and I can't wait to hear their stories from being out in space. Again, just the first all-civilian crew. You know, they're not professional astronauts. I can't wait to hear their stories coming back from that.
Yeah, it looks like they've had a really fun time. I was watching the interview with the St. Jude children yesterday, and they were throwing M&Ms all over the capsule.
Thermodynamic acceleration.
And with the microgravity, just darting them down and trying to chase them down. So they're obviously very, very good friends, and you know, work very, very well together.
And we are entering this blackout
100
period.
kilometer altitude.
We are entering this blackout period that we have mentioned. Again, it is an expected period of time where the vehicle is re-entering back into the Earth's atmosphere. That generates a lot of heat, about up to 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit, which causes a plasma layer to form around the vehicle. So we do lose comms with the crew. They've already done their pre-blackout period operations, making sure that their visors are closed, they're strapped in, and they're ready to re-enter back into the Earth's atmosphere. And so we do expect to regain comms about 7 minutes after they've entered the blackout period.
So the view on your left is Mission Control in Hawthorne, SpaceX's headquarters. You can see that we've got some folks gathering. They're also very excited for Inspiration4 to return back to Earth. And so, yeah, we're all waiting. We're actually about 20-25 minutes away from Splashdown off the coast of Florida. Again, Dragon, even throughout this blackout period, it can pilot itself essentially. So, again, the crew just needs to make sure that you know, they're strapped in and enjoy the flight, because Dragon will take them to where they need to be.
Yeah, exactly. And as we mentioned earlier, you know, they don't really have to do anything aside from follow along with each event that is happening. So we did catch them earlier watching some movies on their flight back home. But yeah, they really don't need to do much, as Dragon is autonomous.
Yes. So after we splash down, for those that are maybe watching for the first time or wondering, well, how does Dragon get out of the water? So Dragon itself is designed to be waterproof.
80 kilometer altitude.
Loss of comm. Start of blackout period.
So we just heard the call.
Anticipated acquisition of signal in 4 minutes and 35 seconds.
We just heard the call out that Dragon is about 80 kilometers in altitude. We're entering that communications blackout period now, and we just got an update that it's expected to last about 4.5 minutes. So again, we'll reestablish communications with the crew after this blackout period, but we are entering the atmosphere at a very, very, very high velocity, and when we start to get a lot of friction from the atmosphere and the space capsule, we start to form that plasma, and plasma tends to interfere with communication. So it's a temporary communications blackout, and again, we're going to be able to reconnect with them in about 4 minutes here.
And during this time, no vehicle telemetry is received by Mission Control or the recovery team. There's no external commanding of the vehicle or voice communication. That is not possible at this time. So as a reminder, Dragon is designed to fly itself and continues to fly autonomously using Draco thrusters to orient itself during this re-entry. Now, during this re-entry, the vehicle will be slowing down the orbital velocity from 17,500 miles per hour, and the use of just the atmosphere will bring the vehicle down to about 350 miles per hour before we even deploy the drogue chutes.
Yeah, a few minutes after we get communications again, we are expecting to deploy the sets of parachutes. We have 2 sets. The first, again, are drogue chutes. There's 2 of them. Their job is to slow the vehicle down from about 350 miles an hour to about 120 miles an hour, and those deploy at around 18,000 feet. Shortly after that, we'll deploy our main parachutes. There's 4 of them. Those are larger, circular, orange and white chutes, and their job is to slow the vehicle down from 120 miles an hour to about 15 miles an hour, and then we'll make splashdown off the coast of Florida in the Atlantic Ocean. So yeah, Dragon is, again, flying itself. Even the chutes that I had just mentioned about, there's sensors on Dragon that detect altitude and pressure, and they will determine when to fire those parachutes. And so pretty much everything on Dragon is autonomous, and again, it's steering itself. It's taking the Inspiration4 crew where they need to go for their targeted splashdown.
Again, if you're just now joining us, we're currently in progress of the blackout period. What this is basically the Dragon spacecraft re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. It'll see temperatures, external temperatures of about 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit, building a plasma layer around the vehicle, preventing comms and communication with the Dragon spacecraft. It's expected to last about 4.5 minutes. We're a little over halfway through that right now, so we should, in a couple minutes here, start hearing some comms from the core, checking in to regain that communication with Dragon. Thermal camera, seeing Dragon coming back down to Earth right there.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is the first shot of the Dragon capsule coming back as part of the Inspiration4 mission. The crowd here is super excited seeing that for the first time as well. So yeah, a couple minutes left of the blackout period, and we should be getting comms reestablished with the crew here shortly.
What you're seeing on your screen right now is on the left-hand side. That is Mission Control Hawthorne.
Dragon, GPS converged. Expect nominal altitude for drogue chute deploy.
Copy that, SpaceX. We show the same.
And those comms confirm that we have regained comms with Dragon, and they're getting ready for drogue deploy here shortly.
Yeah, I love these tracking shots. Again, that is Dragon in the center of your screen. We've got visuals of it, and we're expecting drogue chutes to deploy, and then the main chutes shortly after that here in a couple of minutes. Again, a lot of excitement for Inspiration4 crew's return, waiting on drogue chute deploy. That happens at about 18,000 feet.
Dragon, brace for drogue window.
Copy that, SpaceX. We're bracing.
On re-entry, the team's experiencing about 3 to 5 Gs.
We heard some words to have them brace for drogue deploy. They will feel the difference in speed when the chutes do deploy. That was what the core mentioned there. That's such a cool shot of Dragon coming back down to Earth. It looks very fast in this camera view here.
Steering, 2 good drones.
Yeah, so this is a really... This is a great shot of Dragon looking up at the drogue chutes. A lot of communication going back and forth between the crew and ground station, but the drogue's job is to slow the vehicle down from about 350 miles an hour to 120. We are expecting the main chutes for these to cut off and the main chutes to come shortly after this.
Dragon, these are 4 healthy mains. Dragon, descent right nominal. You have visual from the Cubby forces.
Copy that, SpaceX. Good news.
And at 4:04 p.m. Pacific time, we do have confirmation that the main chutes have deployed, and you can see that on your left-hand screen of a camera looking forward above the Dragon capsule, looking at those 4 main chutes.
1,000.
Copy, 1,000.
The next event coming up now is a visual confirmation of Splashdown. You can see the Dragon capsule on your right-hand screen slowly coming down now. We've talked about how fast the vehicle has been traveling, but they will be touching down approximately 15 miles per hour when they touch the Atlantic Ocean there.
800, SpaceX.
We copy 800.
Now, the Dragon 1 program had great success with the water landing, with 20 successful splashdowns over the course of that program, 9 of which were carried out by flight-proven Dragon spacecraft.
And this is a great shot. Dragon continuing to descend back towards Earth, again targeting a landing, a splashdown off the coast of Florida in the Atlantic Ocean.
Copy 600.
400.
Copy 400.
We're bracing.
We copy 200. Inspiration4, on behalf of SpaceX, welcome home to planet Earth. Your mission has shown the world that space is for all of us and that everyday people can make extraordinary impacts in the world around them. Thank you for sharing your leadership, hope, generosity, and prosperity. And congratulations on your incredible journey.
Thanks so much, SpaceX. It was a heck of a ride for us. It's just getting started.
Copy, just getting started.
So welcome back, Inspiration4. The Dragon Resilience Capsule has returned. The crew has returned. What a phenomenal, phenomenal visual that we got. And I love that Jared said, we're just getting started.
Right. This is the beginning of their journey, of the next steps to the new era in human spaceflight. And just, you know, what an incredible mission. What an amazing view watching them touch down and splash down into the Atlantic Ocean. You could hear the crowd here so excited to welcome the crew back home.
Yes. So we do have a couple of events that need to happen first before we can start to get the crew out of the capsule. So you can see some boats headed towards Dragon. You know, the first job is to make sure that the area around Dragon is safe to approach, and then we'll go in there, start rigging the Dragon up to be able to hoist later on onto our main recovery vessel. So we also heard that Jared had given us the confirmation of stable 1. What that means is Dragon has splashdown and is upright. There's also a stable 2. Dragon can actually be upside down or sideways. It is waterproof and has systems where it can pump seawater into some bladders to help keep it upright. So again, stable 1 is the best possible scenario that we can achieve, and that's what we see on screen right now.
Yeah, and just something to note, there are going to be a few operations that happen before the crew can get out of the capsule, so they will be strapped into their seats, remain strapped into their seats throughout these operations until, basically until hatch open, once we have the Dragon capsule on board the recovery vessel. So we do have some events coming up next. The fast boats will be approaching the Dragon capsule. They'll be doing some inspections to make sure that it is safe before we begin operations to lift Dragon out of the water onto the recovery vessel.
Dragon, SpaceX is go for recovery personnel to approach. Expect personnel alongside in 1 minute.
And copy that, SpaceX. We're looking forward to seeing you.
And Dragon, with that, we request to come aboard via display cam.
And say again, SpaceX.
Requesting permission to come aboard via display cam.
Permission granted. Come aboard, SpaceX.
And what you're seeing on your screen is the recovery team approaching Dragon. Again, they will be starting to do some inspections. They'll do some ordnance and hypergol checks just to make sure that the vehicle is safe before they begin rigging Dragon to bring the vehicle onto the recovery vessel. And I think on the left-hand screen, that is someone on a jet ski helping to pull some of those chutes out of the water. They did automatically detach from Dragon once the vehicle splashed down. So now they are removing them from the water.
Yeah, it is super important that we cut those main parachutes. We don't want any type of wind or even the water to pull or drag the Dragon capsule. But when we did see Dragon splash down, we also saw really good visuals of the mains being cut as well. There is boat personnel that are going to go out there and collect those chutes as part of the recovery operation. We are expecting about an hour from splashdown until we can get the crew outside of the capsule. Again, we're going through a series of safety checks and some other operations to get Dragon hoisted, rigged up, and lifted up onto the main recovery vessel before we can open that side hatch and get the crew out. It was very, very exciting. I think the couple of seconds leading up to splashdown, you could hear a pin drop here in Hawthorne. But as soon as we made contact with the water, excitement erupted, and it was just amazing.
Again, this is the Inspiration4 crew, the first all-civilian mission to orbit with 4 incredible crew on board, and we now have an inside view on Dragon as they are sitting on the ocean water awaiting for the recovery operations. Looks like we got a selfie.
I think Dr. Cyan has taken some post-splashdown pictures. Well deserved.
And again, this is standard procedure. We do have some crew climbing on board Dragon. They're performing some inspections, just making sure that the vehicle is safe prior to the next
Dragon
step.
SpaceX, hypergol sweeps and ordnance checks are nominal. Rigging is in progress. Approximately 25 minutes until capsule lift. Stand by for PMC.
Some excitement from the crew on board. And if you noticed the difference in view, the camera actually has not moved, but the seats, from what you've seen previously of this view, the astronauts are actually rotated a little bit more forward, and that is for these return operations instead of the reclined back position. So that's why the view looks a little bit different.
So on the right-hand side, we do see the rigger climbing up on the Dragon capsule to attach some hardware, so that way Dragon can be lifted and hoisted out of the water using our main recovery ship, Ghost Searcher, which will be approaching the vehicle in a few minutes here. So that hardware is important, and that's how we get Dragon out. We hoist it and we actually put it on what's called a nest, and then we'll perform some more checkouts, make sure everything is good before we open up that side hatch.
You can see one of the techs climbing on board crew is the Dragon capsule's exterior. They do train for this event. They do go through a lot of training to make sure that they are qualified to perform these operations.
Dragon SpaceX with the public.
If you're just now joining us, you are tuned into the Inspiration4 mission. The all-civilian crew has now returned back to Earth. What you're seeing on your right-hand screen are recovery operations currently in progress. The crew has already done their safety check to make sure that the vehicle was okay to approach, and now they have begun some rigging operations. They're installing some of the rigging hardware that they need to be able to lift the capsule out of the water onto the recovery vessel. And on your left-hand screen is the live view inside of Dragon of the crew. And it's just been such an incredible mission so far. Like, they lifted off on Wednesday, expected to be in space for about 3 days. They were able to perform some science experiments. They were able to do some charity events, talk to, again, this mission was all for a fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So they got to talk to some St. Jude patients live while in space and doing backflips.
Yeah, and to think that this crew really formed about 6 months ago, and we cannot stress that this is the first all-civilian crew. Their day job is not being an astronaut. They were trained in the same simulations and same manuals that previous Dragon crew members were trained in, and they got together, threw together this amazing mission. Again, providing fundraising capabilities for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. They gave us a live on-orbit event yesterday. They spent a couple of days in space, did some art, did some photography, did some somersaults, and now they're back on Earth. And in a few minutes here, they're gonna take a fresh breath of fresh breath of Earth air for the first time in about 3 days. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah, I cannot wait to hear the stories that they have to tell us. You know, we did get some of those live events, but they were out there for 3 days. That's quite a bit of time being out in microgravity in a spacecraft. So I'm really excited to hear what their experiences are really like. With the NASA crew missions, we typically get to hear, some of their thoughts of the Dragon spacecraft. Would love to hear more from, just a all-civilian crew this time around, not professional astronauts.
Yeah, and I think it's as we see the sun setting on the right-hand side, the boats are equipped with very strong lights to make sure that they can continue the operation in case the sun does go down. But one thing I do want to reiterate is weather and how great that's been for us. We had a phenomenal day in terms of weather Wednesday during ascent, and on return, you can look at the ocean now, and it's not choppy. There's no waves, essentially. It's basically like pool water, and so the Dragon capsule is there. It's floating there now because it's not choppy. The recovery team can get in there, do their jobs without worrying about any other external factors.
Yeah, that's extremely important. Safety is number one here at SpaceX, so we always want to make sure that we're keeping these events during an environment that is safe, and weather plays a very big factor into that. And not just for the crew on board Dragon, but the recovery team there, which you've been currently seeing climbing on Dragon, installing the rigging. They're on boats, so it's really important to make sure that the weather conditions are accommodating to these operations.
Yeah, so we are expecting the team to finish installing all of the equipment needed to lift Dragon out of the water in a few minutes. And we should see another boat approach the Dragon capsule, and that will be where we essentially hook it up to a crane on the back of the boat, lift it up out of the water and onto the recovery vessel. The Dragon vehicle is looking nice and toasty. I think if we had daytime shots, it would look essentially like a marshmallow. Again, when it's re-entering the Earth, it can get quite hot on the exterior, and the Pika material is doing its job and absorbing the brunt of that heat. But there's a side hatch. I mean, that's where the crew is going to egress out of. That side hatch was sealed 3 days ago, and it hasn't been opened since. And so, you know, typically, you know, missions with crew go to the International Space Station. The crew will ingress and egress out of that top hatch that you see there. But because we weren't going to the International Space Station for this mission, we installed that super cool cupola, and that hatch is going to stay closed. But the team will be exiting out of the side hatch in a few minutes here.
Right now, we're currently performing recovery operations. We have a crew there on one of the fast boats installing rigging onto the Dragon capsule. This will help them lift the Dragon capsule onto the recovery vessel into what we call the nest, the Dragon nest on board. We'll reorient and locate the vehicle on the recovery ship in a position where we can open the hatch and then have the crew step out for the first time since Wednesday. When they open the hatch, we will have a medical officer check on them first. It's pretty standard procedure to make sure, you know, they have been out in space for 3 days. So we do want to make sure that the crew is okay. There will be a team there helping them every bit of the way to make sure that they are okay as they walk to the medical room on the recovery vessel. What you're seeing right now on your screen on the left-hand side is a live view inside of Dragon. View from behind the displays on your left-hand side there. That is Commander Jared Isaacman, and to his right is Dr. Cyan Proctor, who was the pilot for this mission. They're now back down on Earth. What an amazing homecoming day for this crew. Such an exciting mission.
So after landing, to recap the events, it took about 10 minutes for the recovery crew to complete their safety checks. And then once they completed that, the team began to prepare Dragon to be lifted onto the recovery vessel. As part of the preparation for this lift, one member of the recovery team that we saw on screen climbed on top of the capsule, so that way they can attach Dragon's hoist rings and connect the lifting lines. Again, we are estimating about an hour after splashdown until we are able to raise Dragon up and out of the water onto the recovery boat and remove the crew from the spacecraft. And then, Jess, you just mentioned, after medical checkouts, the crew will return to the Cape by helicopter and be rejoined by their friends and family.